Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of day that you're listening or watching this. Welcome to a new season of Into the Ivy. I know this is season 3 that we're going into the 2024 season. Ben is back. That is me. I've been doing a lot of back end work with new graphics, new designs for you guys this season to enjoy. Putting a lot of work and effort into this. So I hope that the results pay off. I hope you guys enjoy the show. I hope you enjoy the content that I'll be coming out with this season. Cubs baseball is very exciting. We're back, it feels like. 2023, just a short recap. We were right there in it at the end of September, ultimately fall one game short. You can look back on a lot of things and say, oh, this is what did us in, but that's a bad mentality to have. You just got to look forward. Here we are. We are about halfway through April now. It is Sunday, April 14th. The Cubs are actually wrapping up their series with the Seattle Mariners right now. So we are recording this episode before we find out if we win the series, lose the series. So just know if you're listening to this after that game, I don't know what happened because it's like 4:20. The game just started. It's 1-0. Cody Bellinger has an RBI. That's great. Let's just get right into episode 1. Again, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Into the Ivy Season 3, covering the 2024 Chicago Cubs. Let's just jump right into it. So, a few new things about the show and about the platform now. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter, formerly, or I guess X, formerly known as Twitter. We are on TikTok. We are on Facebook. We will drop those links in the comments when this show posts. So please make sure that you're sticking in tune for that, or keeping an eye out for that. Sorry about that. I guess we jump right into it. Let's talk about Jameson Taillon, because the Cubs rotation has not been the absolute greatest to start the year outside of Shota Imanaga. Taillon is going to be joining the team in Phoenix this week. Just to cover, he had a start in AA, he had a start in AAA. AA, he got hit around a little bit. He gave up 6 hits, AAA only 3. So in total, he pitched 6.2 innings, gave up 9 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned runs, all 3 coming in the AA outing, which is fine. That was his first outing since he got scratched from that spring game. So 0 earned runs in a AAA outing, pretty good. 8 strikeouts total combined, and he has a 4.43 ERA through those 6.2 innings. Just a few quick notes on Taillon. If they can get the Jameson Taillon that finished the season last year in the second half, I think that would be a huge boost for this Cubs rotation. Currently, outside of Imanaga, who's still holding the 0.00 ERA through 3 starts, that's just incredible. Javier Assad has been doing pretty good. He's got a 1.64 ERA. You'll take that any day of the week for filling in with 2 starters out with Steele also injured. After that, it's a little shaky. Jordan Wicks, I think that he will find his footing in the rotation. Obviously, the ERA with the 5.68 is a little inflated right now. He's just had a couple rough outings. In those outings, just a couple rough innings. Other than that, he's been pretty solid. Ben Brown, I'm a huge Ben Brown guy. I do think that he will stick in this rotation at some point, but I do think that when Taillon returns, he is going to be the first odd man out. Kyle Hendricks he's just not been it to start this season. Obviously, you pull the Rangers, the Dodgers, and the Padres your first 3 outings. You're going to expect to have a high ERA, but 12.08, he just hasn't looked good. But we'll get into that. So, like I said, Taillon is going to be joining this team. They reported that yesterday, Saturday night, that he's going to be joining the team in Phoenix for the Diamondback series. There's no word from Greg Counsell on if he's going to be starting any of those games. Obviously, right now they do have the pitchers lined up for those outings with Ben Brown tomorrow on Monday, Kyle Hendricks pitching on Tuesday, and Jordan Wicks set to go on Wednesday. It is worth noting, though, that on a normal 5 days rest for Taillon after that AAA outing this weekend, he would be available to start on Tuesday with a normal 5 days rest. So just keep that in mind. That's the day that Hendricks is set to pitch. I don't think Hendricks will be the first one to go from the rotation. I do think that it is going to be Ben Brown that gets sent either. It's going to be Iowa or the bullpen. There's nowhere else that he will go. I would be kind of sad to see Ben Brown go back to Iowa, but obviously if you're gonna stretch him out as a starter, you want him to go back to Iowa to get those 5 innings, possibly 6 inning outings. Whereas if you get him in the bullpen, he could be your long inning reliever for sure. But when Justin Steele comes back, you would probably expect Javier Assad to go back to filling that role in the bullpen. So then what do you do with Ben Brown, So I do think that Ben Brown, it's going to be a 50-50 right now if he goes to the Penn or Iowa. I think ultimately they will send him back down to Iowa to get more development. Obviously, this is a guy that we all were really excited to see this season, but I don't think any of us wanted to see him the first week of April when Justin Steele went down. Like, that was just not a good time was had by anyone except maybe Ben Brown and his family. Obviously, you're excited for the kid. He's going to do great things at this level. In due time, from one bend to the other, I'm excited for you, my friend. I really, really am. So let's talk about the rotation. There's some questions that we have just brought up. With Taillon back, we're assuming Ben Brown, AAA, or the bullpen. Let's fast forward to May, right? In May, when Justin Steele comes back, no question about it, Justin Steele is the ace of this team. Things are going to get spicy. So you'll have Justin Steele, you'll have Jamison Taillon, which Taillon is going to be in the rotation. If we can get 2023 Taillon second half, great. Shota Imanaga, you just signed him to be part of your rotation, and he's living well beyond that contract. He's shutting people down. The strikeouts are there. He's getting run support. You can't argue with a 0.00 ERA, especially after he mowed that Dodgers lineup down at Wrigley last weekend. That was phenomenal. You look at the 3 guys. You've got Kyle Hendricks, you've got Jordan Wicks, and you've got Javier Assad. We said this a little bit earlier. These are all names that we're going to be talking about on Cubs Twitter, on social media. We're going to be talking about leading up to Justin Steele coming back. And as much as personally, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Right now, if I'm Craig Counsell and I have to make that decision, I'm sending Kyle Hendricks to the bullpen. Yes, he's a World Series hero. He's the last World Series hero on this roster. It's just not there. It's not there. That was 8 years ago. It's going on 8 years ago. Like, I'm forever grateful to the guy. I've got no ill will against him, but he's getting hit too hard. He's giving up runs. He's getting taken to the outfield. And you can't be digging yourselves out of those holes with how important every game needs to matter for this team. I don't think that they will pick Kyle Hendricks. I think Kyle Hendricks will slide all the way down to the 5 slot where we originally all expected him to be going into this season. Jordan Wicks will probably stay the 4. And I unless Javier Assad continues to be an absolute Imanaga Jr. almost going into May, I think Assad will go back to the bullpen and be our long reliever in those situations with Drew Smyly. Let's do a weekly recap. And when I say weekly recap, I mean that was a roller coaster emotional week. We were all the way up here last Sunday a week ago when we won that Dodgers series. We took the Game 3 8-1 in the wet win at Wrigley. And then from there, it just kind of went downhill. We're kind of in that pattern. It's not horrible. Like we went 3-3 last week. We'll take that, right? Right? We'll take 3-3. I'm not happy about the way we went 3-3, but this team should have gone 4-2. Argument could be made for 5-1. Shota Imanaga, just to recap that one Dodgers game, he is him. Shota Himanaga, as some are calling him, not me, just saying some are calling him. Through his 3 starts, he still boasts a 0.00 ERA, like I pointed out earlier, and he's got 16 strikeouts in just a little over 15 innings pitched, which probably could be a little bit more in the strikeout and inning pitch wise if it wasn't for that lengthy rain delay last Sunday. But devil's advocate, that 0.00 ERA, also, he could have given up some runs. So you never know. You got to take what you can get with that. The Padres series, that is a series that if we do not make the playoffs, I have a gut feeling that we're all going to be remembering this series for a little bit. That game 1 was just horrible, man. We all went to bed. The West Coast trips, they suck. I live in Central Florida, and that game started at 10:40 my time. I was out like a light, especially during the middle of the week. I went to bed, saw it was 8-0. I'm like, oh, the game's fine. Woke up the next morning, saw we lost 9-8, and I couldn't believe it. You know, you log on Twitter, and everybody, it's the end of the world, man. But no, seriously, you have to win those games. You cannot lose a game that you lead 8-0 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. You just can't. And then to look at the box score and see that they gave up 7 runs in the 6th. You just gave, like, I'm 99.9% sure I saw a post the next morning that said that was the largest deficit in Padres history that they've overcome to win a baseball game. That sucks being part of those stats, man. Let me tell you, that's brutal. It's a gut punch. And then to sit there the entire next day for, again, another 10:40 p.m. Eastern Standard first pitch. But for the folks up in Chicago, 9:40, you have to sit on that all day. It's just a bad feeling. But the second game was worth waiting for. You know, Christopher Morel, obviously the grand slam, reignite the vibes. That's what we needed. And the bullpen held on in that game, which was very nice to see. So you go into game 3 of that Padres series. You're sitting there tied 1-1. Pretty happy with that. You're hoping Kyle Hendricks bounces back. He hasn't had the greatest outings up till now, but I mean, last year he pitched like an ace in San Diego. So you're hoping, you know, that lineup that they had a year ago is better than what they currently put out right now in San Diego. When you lose Juan Soto, you're going to be worse off. That's just how it is. It didn't feel like it. He got hit around bad. The soft contact, this defense is set up to be able to countermeasure that almost. You know, obviously you got a Gold Glover in left field and center field with Happ and Bellinger. You've got Gold Glovers up the middle with Swanson and Nico. They were just finding gaps, you know. It was hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. I think I turned it off after like the 4th hit in the exact same spot all the way to the center field wall. Like I felt bad for Cody Bellinger, man. Like Kyle Hendricks, he's giving you cardio practice out there. It's just sad to see, man. I loved Kyle Hendricks in the 2010s. I still did. He has been a very good pitcher up until what feels like this year. Obviously, there were some signs of regression a little bit last year, but he just looks lost now. And, you know, the composure of the professor, he still stays composed. He doesn't show it. But, I mean, 3 straight starts of this, you gotta be getting up in his own head at some point, you know. And then he pitched 5 innings in that game, but there was a certain point you're like, Craig, get him out of there. Like, what are you doing? It just felt like they had accepted the hole that they were in, and he just kept letting them go because we didn't want to go through the bullpen. You know, 9 hits, 7 earned runs, 2 home runs against Kyle Hendricks. It sucks to see, man. It is. It's hard. So you win that Dodgers series, you're feeling all high on top of the world. Obviously, anytime you beat the NL pennant favorite Dodgers, feels great. Um, Padres brings you right back down to earth. You lose that series in San Diego. You take 1 out of 2. You don't get swept. We'll take that, I guess. Then we get to the Mariners series. It didn't start great. You know, Jordan Wicks. I'm not giving up on Jordan Wicks. I like him. I like that his lefty. I like the lefty arm. I do. He just walked too many guys that night. It was just he walked 4 guys, including a runner in the second inning, and then of course Julio Rodriguez eventually makes you pay with bases loaded in the fourth by putting the ball in play and getting a couple more. But just a weird game one. Wasn't fun to watch. It was definitely one of those nights where it took us too long to get on the board, and then when we finally did, you're like, I don't think it's going to happen. And maybe that's just me going also to bed early before the game is over because West Coast trips suck. But at the same time, I don't want to stay up and be mad and get less sleep. But we'll work on that. We will work on that. Game two was pretty fun. You know, Seiya, Michael Busch, Miguel Amaya, they all go solo home runs again. Michael Busch looking pretty good. I will take that. You know, we had some questions going into the season at first base. We tried a whole bunch of stuff, trading for Michael Busch, signing Dom Smith, who eventually left. He didn't accept. I don't remember the whole story on Dom Smith. I'm sorry. Garrett Cooper makes the roster. And then this is all with Matt Mervis, what feels like not even being considered for the major league roster. Granted, he didn't get a fair shot last year with only 90 at bats, and then they just sent him right back down to AAA. But I love his bat. It just does not feel at this moment that Matt Mervis is going to get another legit shot at the major league roster unless for some reason, knock on wood, Michael Busch and Garrett Cooper both go down and we need a first baseman. But that's enough on Matt Mervis. Let's get back to Michael Busch, who I actually handed out multiple Player of the Week honors to on the page this year. Or I'm sorry, not this year. It's only mid-April this week. So he is going to be our Player of the Week, Michael Busch. He went 7 for 22 this week, which is hitting 318. Not bad at all. 7 RBIs. He took 2 walks, and he had 3 home runs. Not to mention his 4th and 1st of the year in Game 1 of the Dodgers series the week prior. So we'll take that. That's pretty good. That's more than I was expecting out of Michael Busch this early in the year. Honestly, he's already surpassed his home run total from 2023, so big plus. But Michael Busch could be a guy. It's kind of fun. You know, you see all the Busch memes, Busch Light memes on Cubs Twitter and everything. Everybody's just having a good time. You love to see it. Last thing that we got for y'all today is just a quick standings update. I know, Ben, it's April 14th. There's a lot of time between now and when the standings matter. But you don't want to fall behind too early, because if you fall behind too early, you got to spend all summer playing catch up like the 2023 team did. So with that being said, going into today's Game 3 in Seattle, the Cubs sit 2 games now behind the now first place Milwaukee Brewers, which is really annoying. Of course, just a game behind the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are in second. Of course, they had another great start to the season, which they somehow always seem to do. And it's just always a good day when the Cardinals are in last place, especially when they're below 500. It just feels good sometimes. But this one is a quick one. We'll have more for you, obviously, as the season goes on. We'll have more to talk about. We're still figuring out show format. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. We can work around that. I would love to go off your guys' feedback, what you like about the show. Is there something that you want me to talk about that I don't talk about? Is there something that you want included in the weekly recap? Let me know. I would love to hear it. I really, really would, because that's going to help me make better shows for you guys, and it's just a better time for Cubs baseball. It's better time for Cubs talk. everything. Because at the end of the day, that's all I am. I'm just a baseball fan. I'm a baseball fan with passion who loves talking about the Chicago Cubs. I live 18 hours away from Chicago, so I can't get there myself. So I'm jealous of all you guys that get to go to the Wrigley Field every homestand Fridays at 1:20. I just love this team. I love this organization. Stay tuned for some exciting news in May about a potential Cubs game? Question mark. You'll just have to keep an eye out on the page, and we might have some exciting news regarding that. But until next time, hopefully we're flying the W 7 times this week because we've got 7 games. We've got the Marlins coming up, and then I think the Astros come to town after that. So hopefully next week we're doing a lot better than a 3-3 week. Hopefully we're going 7-0. Cubs in 4, baby. Thank you for tuning in. This is Into the Ivy. We'll see you next time.